begin. Paganini, Caprice 24. Never has an Erhu cover of a sandwich driven me to such madness as this dang piece. I had to invent a brand new Erhu technique just to play this monstrosity, and practicing this for the short time I did pushed my technical skills to their skin-peeling limit. Dark Lord YouTube, you are a truly maniacal viewer for suggesting this piece, and I hope you all enjoy. So, after I realized that Paganini's Caprice number 24 was in fact not related to a Caprice Panini, really good though, I got to planning. The game plan was pretty simple. Find the score, translate to numbers, practice some more, and then hopefully have a playable rendition at the end. Alrighty, I got my good old Caprice number 24 and numbered musical notation here. And I guess we'll just start from measure 1. Of course, I imagine this is a violin classic. The technical areas will take some time to practice, but I mean, I played Rushy, so a few weeks of practice and I'll probably make some progress. Alright. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I did not, in fact, make some progress. It took me a week to figure out a series of fingerings that was remotely possible. Not to actually play the goddamn piece, just to come up with fingerings that would make this possible in theory. To see if I was on the right track, I checked whether anyone else had tried playing this on the Erhu before, and just my luck, there was an Erhu master who had. I started to feel good as I watched her rendition of it and realized I'd stumbled across pretty much the same fingerings she had used. But as I continued watching, that relief that I was making progress gave way to this sort of inkling feeling of dread. It's that dissonance you get when you see two different ways to tackle something, two ways to look at a problem, but neither path makes me feel all that morally good. What I had noticed were modifications made to the original Caprice that, honestly, I didn't know how to feel about. Paganini's Caprice number 24 is considered one of the hardest pieces in solo violin, and after some cursory Wikipedia research, it seems much of that difficulty comes from techniques specific to the violin, such as parallel octaves and left-hand plucking. Both techniques that had almost completely been modified out of the Erhu rendition. Now, of course, there are physical limitations to the Erhu that will force me to make modifications to make the piece playable, such as when there are 3-note chords or when the notes are simply out of range. But then, where do you draw the line? Is it okay to modify a piece whose main thing is technical difficulty to the point where it isn't as technically difficult? This wasn't the first time I had dealt with this. I had a similar problem when translating Rush E over to the Erhu, where I had no chance of accurately replicating certain parts. But in this case, the added pressure was that this wasn't a black MIDI piano piece, but a classical violin piece. As a Erhuist, the words classical violin throw me into an emotional gray zone. If you Google what an Erhu is right now, you'll likely see it being called a Chinese fiddle or a Chinese violin. And yes, it's a helpful description, but growing up, I would also see people look at this moniker and get the impression that the Erhu was just some sort of violin knockoff. It makes one feel like the Erhu can't even stand on its own 2 feet if its very definition in the English-speaking world is based on the violin. So now, whenever I pick up a classical violin piece, I hear the classical violin camp say, "Where's the parallel octaves? Where's the plucking? You're not reproducing the technical difficulties of the original." While in the Erhu camp, I hear, "Yeah, it sounds close to the original, but it's lost the Erhu flavor. It just sounds like something trying to be a violin when it's not." So in a few short periods of dissonant moral ambiguity, I've gone from somewhat making progress to not even knowing how to balance making this possible to play while also maintaining classical violin difficulty and Erhu flavor, whatever that is. At this point, you're probably thinking, oh, this is a somewhat okay put together YouTube video, so this inner conflict will have some sort of solid resolution. It'll be like a rainbow with a pot of gold at the end. And no, that would not be the case. One thing that bugs me a little about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow myth is that it almost implies that the journey to the pot of gold is pretty, like a rainbow. Unfortunately though, this wasn't one of those times. At this point I could have given up, or even more temptingly, learned the version of Paganini's Caprice number 24 on Erhu that I saw online. That version was by no means easy, but it did have the security blanket of having been done before, of actually being possible. But what kept me going was the need to prove both to myself and to others that the Erhu wasn't some violin knockoff to be cast aside. The Erhu has its own strengths and weaknesses, and with enough perseverance, it could match the violin's musicality on its own turf. I needed to show that. So, under that philosophical backdrop, that's what I did. I did my darndest, and I mean my darndest, to reproduce the violin techniques that made this piece famous, namely parallel octaves and left-hand pizzicato, two things that essentially did not exist on Erhu. The most left-hand pizzicato I had done in the past was just some open string plucks, and parallel octaves weren't a thing at all. I was nearly out of ideas until I started messing with my fingernails. So I think I just invented a brand new Erhu technique to get the octaves right. Take a look at this. Okay. So typically you have your fingers right here on top of the strings, right? And you have to have them on the string in order to change the pitch, etc., etc. But it turns out you don't have to necessarily have the thing on the string be the fingers. So if I'm able to just get my fingernail on one of the strings while keeping the pitch of the other, then hey, that's my two pitches. There's still a lot of kinks to work out, but this is amazing progress. Like, this is stuff that I would consider impossible just a few minutes ago, so yeah, super cool. As far as I know, I've never seen someone play parallel octaves on Erhu before, so yeah, I think I've invented a brand new Erhu technique, and boy would this come in handy for the Caprice. As for the left-handed pizzicato, honestly compared to the initial scare of having to invent parallel octaves for Erhu, left-handed pizzicato was less mental fear at not being able to come up with anything, and more physical endurance. Oh, and also I had COVID during this time, so that was nice. Gods, looking back, I have no idea how I was able to drag myself to the practice room and practice for however long I could. Erhu practice sweat and COVID fever is not a comfy combo. There was many a time where I would just practice until my muscles gave out from the huge amount of shifts, took a deep breath, and simply said, again. I know this is the part of the story where one has a super motivated, energized plot climax to the tippy top of success, but this was a grueling path of sore muscles and peeling skin to the very end. You end up in a pattern of ruts and valleys for one reason or another, and when that happens, you just have to go the brute force route and kick your own butt into doing what needs to be done. It ain't pretty, it ain't glorious, and there's no rainbows, but if you stick to it, it can eventually, ever so slowly, lead to quite the pot of gold at the end.
One more time, just to see if I can get better. Just see if I can make it better.
I made it! Oh my god, I actually made it. Full transparency, I would give this final take a 5 out of 10 at most. You probably heard the off pitches, the long pauses, or those shifts that just didn't hit. Typically, I put my final takes of these sorts of projects on Spotify, but I think this will be an exception. I'm confident I'll be able to do better than this after taking a couple years to really let this simmer into my muscle memory. And I knew from the get-go there was no way I, after a month of practice, was going to match classical violinists who have probably practiced this piece since childhood. But despite all that, I still feel like I found my pot of gold. This is, to my knowledge, the first ever proof of concept for a more close to original Paganini Caprice 24 on erhu, parallel octaves, Latin pizzicato and all. There are definitely erhu players who will be able to play this much better than me, but I'm just happy I got the chance to pave the path, to prove that crazy stuff like this is actually possible. Weirdly, as I reached the final stretch of practicing this piece, I began to simply feel numb. When I practice erhu, I'm used to having to spend entire practice sessions in a specific emotional state. The mind of a son in mourning, a general wrongly executed, an exiled warrior, even just a racing horse. I was not used to practicing what looked to be a fairly storyless piece back and forth with the emotional side of my brain just kind of going, well, here I can show you. I'm definitely biased because, well, erhu, but I have a much better time understanding works like the theme for Schindler's List or Moonlight Sonata compared to Sonata in C major, or even after practicing it for all this time, Paganini's Caprice No. 24. Pieces like Paganini's Caprice No. 24 aren't my cup of tea, but I'm still very happy I spent the time and effort to learn this. I even got a brand new erhu technique out of it. Oh, and calluses, that too. If you're a violinist, please feel free to let me know your thoughts. This was a great adventure for me, and I would love to hear how I can improve. Still, after this journey, the emotional side of my noggin feels pretty starved after all of the technical, skill-based practice sessions. I want to dig into an erhu classic with that human story I crave, rainbows or not. If only there is some sort of scholarship to a conservatory where I could learn straight from experts on the erhu and traditional Chinese music. Well, what do you know? I'm gonna get going, but in the meantime, I'll link a video where I've covered Disney music using lightning bending principles, if that suits your fancy. And until next time, I hope you're well, wherever you are. Bye.